Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to talk about all the books that I read in February. So February was a very, very good month for me. I had a couple books that were a little disappointing. No DNFs, which is good. I know last month I did have a DNF, but this month I had some actually pretty good books. I had two books that really wowed me this month, and I'm really shocked at the two books that did, and I'm really shocked at the two books that didn't do quite as good, which I expected those to be my highest rating books this month. So definitely strap in for this because it's definitely going to be a wild ride. So before we get into it, just make sure that you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Don't miss any of my content. If you watched my previous video of where my husband guesses the 5 books that I randomly pulled off of my shelf just based on the cover, it was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing the whole time. Let me know in the comments below if you actually watched that video. If not, definitely head on over there and watch it after this one because it is hilarious. And some of the guesses that he did was quite funny. So don't miss that. So make sure you like and subscribe to all of my content. So let's get into the books that I read in February. So the first book came out really strong this month. I read it in probably like 2 days. I couldn't stop with this story. It is The Words by A. Jade or Ashley Jade. Now this book follows Lennox, who is not Lennox. Lennon. Lennon is an oversized female in high school, and I believe she's a junior or a senior. I can't remember the time frame that they're on. I want to say senior, but I could be wrong. And you're following Lennon. Now, I really liked the fact that the author did make her plus size, and I like the fact that you get the inner monologue of the bullying that she goes through and her thought process about how she is overweight and how she perceives herself, because I feel like that was done extremely well. Also, you get a lot of things about the trauma that she's went through. She lost her mother, right after she was born, so she never got to know her. She's lived with her dad, who, is fairly strict. But, Lennon is a straight A, going to college, very smart girl in high school. And then in comes Phoenix Walker, who is the bad boy of the grade. He lives on the other side of the tracks kind of trope. He definitely is really hot, and a lot of women seek him out, and he's known as kind of like a player, as a bad boy, all of these things. So she ends up having to tutor him and to get him to pass so he can graduate. Now with Phoenix and Lennon, it's quite funny how they start out because Phoenix doesn't want anything to do with her. She's trying her hardest. She finds out about some disabilities that he has and, tries to help him with that. Finds out that, he sings. She sang a song that he wrote, all of these things. So they started getting close. You could see the romance, really building with them. And then all of a sudden, Phoenix betrays her. And I'm not going to say what happens, but he betrays her in a big way. And so ends, the friendship, everything else with her. And then 5 years go by, I want to say, and she's out of college. She's at home taking care of her father, who has dementia or Alzheimer's, one of those, terrible diseases. And all of a sudden, like, Phoenix is like this big rock star. Everybody, looks up to him. And, he's struggling because someone in the band had died, and he feels like it was his fault and kind of that grief. And so in comes Lennon, who is hired by the record label to straighten Phoenix up and make sure that he quits drinking and doing drugs and all of these things, but she's out for revenge for the betrayal that he did. So you follow them through the tour and everything, and I loved this book. The angst, the want, the relationship between Phoenix and Lennon, the way that the author stayed true to the character, even though you could tell that she wanted to make it a romance like from the beginning. But I really like that she listened, to Phoenix and Lennon and wrote them very true to character. As I was reading this book, I didn't feel like I was reading this big of a book. I was flying through it as quick as possible. I feel like the pacing was very well done. I feel like the world building around it, where you feel like you're on stage with Phoenix, you feel like you're there with Lennon, trying to stop him, from drinking and doing drugs. And like, I just feel you're there with the characters, like as if they're sitting right next to you. So if you really like a contemporary romance, if you really like, the tropes of friends to lovers, then enemies to lovers type of thing, if you really like stories that are over the course of many years instead of a short period of time, definitely pick this book up. It is absolutely wonderful. One of the best books I've ever read. Definitely making it on my top 10 this year. And then also definitely check trigger warnings, because there are some things in here that you may want to make sure that you stay away from. If you don't like whenever it has to deal with disabilities like dyslexia or, dementia, Alzheimer's, or the death of a parent, definitely check trigger warnings before you read it. But 5 stars for me. This started my February off, and I think that's why I had such a good month. So hats off to this. I can't wait to read more by this author. This is my first time, so pretty excited for that. The next book that I read was a continuation from a series that I started last month, and that is Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I was disappointed with this book. I gave it 3 stars. I had an okay time, not a fun time. And so on here, basically you are continuing Spence's story, and she is on, she is in this whole different area, not even, in where she grew up. She imitates, one of the Krell, and she, is learning about like their fighting systems and meeting people. And all of a sudden the world around her is not exactly what she thought that she, had the whole time, living underneath. I don't even know what the name of the town is that they call it. I want to say Artaeum, but it's not Artaeum. But anyway, you're following Spence's story. I actually got to the point in this book where I was just kind of skimming and flipping, trying to get to better parts, because I feel like even though the first book came out really well, very strong, I got very attached to the characters, I feel like in this book, I started pulling away from them, because you don't get a whole lot of the side characters. You're getting a lot of Spencer and, being in this whole different area and, being around the aliens that, she thought her whole time that they were killing her. And so I don't know. I don't know if it's just the way that it was written. I don't know if it was just kind of a lull in the story, because I know there's 2 novellas that you read after this. And then I know there's a 3rd book called Cytonic. And then you finish the 3rd and final novella after that. And I don't know if this was kind of the thing where it's the 2nd book in a series. It's kind of a lull. I'm not sure, but I wasn't very happy with it. So 3 stars. I don't know when I'm going to read the 2 novellas and then continue on with the 3rd and final book. I may wait a little bit, because I really kind of got disappointed with this one. But if you guys really like Brandon Sanderson, if you like sci-fi, if you like YA, if you like a book that is based around a lot of characters, where you get to know them and they grow on you, and it's not story driven, it's character driven, you're going to really love this series. It's not a bad series at all. I really think that it can be extremely well. First book was amazing. This one I had an okay time. I'm sure the 3rd and final book will be even better. So definitely pick this book up if you like sci-fi, if you like fantasy, if you like Brandon Sanderson or any of his previous work, if you want to follow Spensa and find out, what truly happened to her father. Was he really, a coward and all of that? Definitely pick this one up. Then the next one I picked up, I was very on the fence about it. I picked it up because it reminded me of me and my husband, because me and my husband met on Xbox almost 12 years ago, actually, and we lived in two totally different states, and so we're gamers, and that's how we met. And so this book, whenever I was at Books A Million a few months ago, I picked it up. It was in their bargain section, and just because I wanted to have a fun little read that reminded me of my husband. And surprisingly, it was really, really, really good, guys. Extremely good. And that is Don't Hate the Player by Alexis Ned. I gave this book 4 stars. It is absolutely wonderful. The reason why it reminded me of me and my husband is because they're both gamers and they're both like on opposite teams in this competition. My husband and I never were on opposite teams in competition, but it was just the whole nostalgic feeling of they both are gamers, they both gravitated, and that's how they met, was gaming. So basically you are following, oh goodness, what is her name? Emilia and Jake. So it starts off from Jake's point of view. He is 10 or 11 and he is playing this game, an arcade game. It's like Knights of Darkness or something, and he's trying to get the high score at this arcade. And then whenever he goes there because of his friend's birthday party, he realizes this girl he's never met before, but is at the birthday party as well, and she is playing Knights of Darkness, and she is playing it, almost beating his high score, so he's kind of watching her. It freaks her out a little bit. She loses her combo or something that she was doing, so she kind of blames him for it. So he's just offering her like all of his tokens, because he's sorry, that he did that. And they ended up playing it together. And so they got to like 3rd or 4th place, I believe, on the leaderboards of this arcade machine. And so, he put like JAE or whatever for Jake and Emilia. And anyway, fast forward another year, they see each other again, but it's at the friend's house. He finds out that's his neighbor. They just end up chit-chatting. He's holding on to this one token in hopes that, they'll get to go back to the arcade at some point. And then I believe the next year he ended up seeing her again. And then he ended up moving, not being in that same school or anything like that. So then you jump forward to Emilia's point of view, and she goes to a whole different school than what Jake had. And so now she is 16 years old. She, her mother pushes her to have all these AP classes, pushes her to have all these extracurriculars and be student body president and all this stuff because she needs to get into a good school, a good college. So Emilia is, definitely helping her mother, doing everything her mother asks, to make sure that her college will go good. But in the cloak of darkness, where her mom and her friends and everybody has no idea except her, that she built a computer that she hides behind these like fake boards in her desk. And she is playing, what is it called? I think it's, oh goodness, it's GLOW, I know is what the acronym is, but it is Global Live online or something. Anyway, it's called GLOW. It's like this, cross between a shooter game like Call of Duty and a game kind of like World of Warcraft a little bit, where you have a tank and a healer and a DPS. If any gamers out there know, you know what I'm talking about. It's a cross between that. You have 5 people on your team. Anyway, Emilia is so good that she is on a team called Fury, who is a competitive team. Nobody knows who she is in the gaming world because previously she was going to be doxxed, which is where her personal information, where she lives, where she goes to school, what her real name is, was going to be released. So she had to change her name online and just completely not talk and everything like that. But Fury keeps her, identity secret. And then anyway, they start having this, Glow has this, first tournament that's in Philadelphia. Team Fury is invited, and then Emilia, is like, oh no, everyone's gonna know who I am, but the leader of that group says, no, I'll protect you, don't worry about it. And then as she's going to this competition, who does she meet? None other than Jake, who she hasn't seen in years. Now she realizes he can tell people because he goes to the same school as her now, which she finds out, and she's freaking out. And Jake's like, you don't need to worry or whatever. But Jake is on Team Unity, which is going against Team Fury in this competition. So in comes all of these obstacles that they're trying to, overcome. They slowly become friends again, and you watch their friendship grow, their romance grow and everything through this competition. And at the end, it definitely came as a big shock for me, but I really enjoyed Emilia and Jake's relationship. I really enjoyed their friendship. I loved the world around it and everything. I only gave it 4 stars because I felt like in certain parts it was a little too fast-paced, like we weren't getting a whole lot of description. But you know what, it's a YA romance, not spicy at all, just a teen romance that was really cute and heartfelt, and I didn't think that I would like it, but I did. But look at this cover, you guys. Isn't it so amazing? I really liked it that it represented girl gamers and what girl gamers actually go through, and it was very authentic on what girl gamers go through, because I am a girl gamer, so I've dealt with men online a lot. Also, it deals with her being a different ethnicity, which I think is really, really well written also. So if you're looking for a YA contemporary romance that is fun, lighthearted, deals with, gaming and a lot of different things, pick this book up. I think that you will enjoy it. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did, so I think you guys will enjoy it also. The next book that I read is another disappointment, and I thought that it was going to be one of the highest rating on my list for the month. Just like Starsight, I thought it was going to be like a 5-star, and it ended up being a 3-star. But the next book is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This book I gave 3 stars to. It fell, or not 3 stars, I'm so sorry, 2 stars to. It fell very flat for me. I did not enjoy the couple in here. Zahara and Rowan, I believe his name is. I didn't, or Zara, not Zahara. It's Zara or Zahara, one of the two. Anyway, I didn't really like this. I didn't connect with the characters, did not connect with their romance. I felt like this book was very poorly done, just in my opinion. But then again, I don't read a lot of contemporary romances, so I wouldn't take everything I say to heart. But basically, you are following Rowan, and it is a standalone in this trilogy series where their grandfather dies. He had built Dreamland and owned it, and so he was passing it down to them. But each of the brothers, there's 3 of them, they have terms and conditions that they have to meet, or they lose out on their entire inheritance and it goes to their father, who they don't want that to happen to. So Rowan's conditions are he has to basically rebuild Dreamland and bring in, like more tourism and just kind of reinvent, it. So he doesn't know quite what to do, but then he meets Zara, and Zara, tells him about, her plans and what she would do. She got drunk, and so she was just very honest and brutal, and she accidentally sends it to him and she gets picked. And so they spend a lot of time together talking about what they can do and how they can make Dreamland better. What I did not like about this book is the fact that I understand the author was trying to build up tension and angst between the characters, but there was too much. Like, Zara was too nice of a character, and she, was going out of her way to do all of this stuff for Rowan, and Rowan was just a complete a-hole, to be honest with you. He constantly was like, I can't get close to Zara. She only wants me for my money. I can't get close to Zara because she's going to bleed me dry, or she's going to try to trap me, with a fake pregnancy type of thing. I don't know. It really kind of upset me because he did not ever change into like the last 10% of the book. Honestly, like, I feel like their relationship got to a point where it was good, and then all of a sudden the author was like, oh no, we're not close to the end of this book, so now they need to hate each other again, and Rowan needs to like second guess, like his thoughts for her. And I was banging my head against the wall, honestly, and so I'm not going to continue on with the series. I did end up finishing it because I wanted to know how it ended, and it was very predictable, obviously, but I did not like the writing. I did not like the world building. I did not like the pacing of the book. I feel like the author was throwing in angst where there didn't need to be, hate where there didn't need to be, comments where there didn't need to be. Like, you could have grown them together and made it a lot better book, instead of every time you turn the page, Rowan is being condescending about everything. That's just my take on it. So there's the fine print. Gave it 2 stars. Check it out if you want to. Maybe you'll like it. I know there are quite a lot of people that enjoy that book. So, I hope that if you do try it, I hope you do enjoy it. I hope it's not a flop for you. The next book was the other book that wowed me. Did not expect that to happen. I just expected it to be a mediocre read where I was like, I had a fun time, but really don't expect anything from it. But I think the way that I consumed the book, which was through audio, through Audible, made it so much better. And that is Spare by Prince Harry. Let me tell you guys, if you at all want to know what Prince Harry's life was and is like, and you want to hear it from his voice and his accent and his, feelings, go pick up the Audible. It was so good. I could not push pause on this book. I was at work and I was frantically trying to find things to do where I could continue to listen to my book instead of be on the phone, because I was devouring it. There are 3 parts to this autobiography. It is all 100% true. Harry's life. He wrote it about himself. And, there's 3 parts. You have the first part, which is when he was younger and up until like his mom dies and a little bit after his mom dies. Then the second part is about like the 2000s or whatever, where he was going to college, then he was in the military, and then, whenever Kate and William got married, it's in that time frame of his life. And then the third and final part is, whenever he met Meghan, what him and Meghan went through, what they continue to go through. And I'm going to tell you right now, the way that Harry reads this book to you, he puts his emotion into it. He gasps. He'll sing in it. You can feel the emotion as he's reading it to you. And that was one thing that I found very compelling, and probably why I enjoyed this book as much as I did, was because of that. And so I devoured it. I am going to pick up a physical copy. I'm probably going to re-listen to this book at some point because it was just that good. So if you guys like the royal family, if you like autobiographies, and if you really want to hear it from the actual biographer's voice, pick up Spare. It was very good, very eye-opening to me because there were some things about the royal family that I did not even know. 5 stars, Harry. You knocked it out of the park. Loved, loved, loved this book. And I'm not a biography type of reader, so that's why this came out of absolute nowhere for me. But 5 amazing stars. The next book that I read was Saga Volume 1 by Brian Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This book is so good. It's a graphic novel, if you guys can't tell. But this book is so good. I got this recommendation from a booktuber that I watch named Becca and the Books. And she read all 10 volumes because the 10th one just released at the end of last year. She read all 10 volumes in one video, and it got me thinking that I wanted to try it. Because basically you have the woman and the guy, they're from a planet and a moon that are warring against each other. And this war has been raging for millennia, I guess, centuries, who knows, probably longer than anyone actually knows. And this is their baby, Hazel, and you're actually getting this book from Hazel's point of view at some time in the future. And she is talking to you about what her parents went through, what she went through, what her life was like. So we don't know how old Hazel is when she's telling this story, but it's really, really good because you start out from the time that she was born and what her parents went through, how they're being hunted and, you know, trying to be assassinated, and kind of like what the world is like around them and the politics and everything that, you know, it encompasses. So it was really, really good. I am going to continue on, but you know, look at that. It is so, so good. And as you're, you know, reading through this, you get, let me see if I can find a part. It was pretty recent. Yeah. As you're reading, you know, like what the mom is saying, there's writing up here. That's Hazel's writing. And, you know, she's, telling you what her mom did, but then, you know, like her thoughts from the future. So anyway, can't wait to continue this series. I'm going to pick up volume 2 as quick as possible because I really want to know what happens to this family and this girl and everything like that. But it is so, so good. And if you guys want to pick up a science fiction story that is kind of like from the future, the daughter is talking about their life and like politics and, you know, how the galaxy is and stuff, pick this up. I think that you would really, really like it. Finally, did I tell you how many stars I gave this? I gave this 3 stars, only because it was really good, but it's setting up the story. So it wasn't fully engaging. I feel like volume 2 and volume 3 are really going to pull a lot, you know, because now that you've met the characters, you've, you know, established yourself in that world, you're going to have more action and you're not going to have to learn about the characters again. So 3 stars. It was really good. Could be better because I think volume 2 and on are going to pick up in the pace. The last book that I read is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This was my second disappointment book on this list. My third disappointment, who knows at this point. I thought it was going to get a higher rating because I absolutely love the Cruel Prince trilogy that Holly Black had wrote. And I love Jude and Carden. I love the whole world around it. So I thought this was going to be a continuation. And it similarly is, but in a different part of Elfhame. You are following Oak, who you meet in the Cruel Prince trilogy, which is Jude's younger brother. And you meet him, and he is on this quest. And along this quest, Rin comes in, and you've met Rin from the original trilogy as well. And she is a changeling. She actually is the heir to the throne with the Teeth. Or the Teeth Clan or whatever, if you remember them from The Cruel Prince. And anyway, you are following Oak and Ren as they go on this journey. They're trying to get something back and then free somebody. And it was really good. I really enjoyed getting to know Oak a little bit better, more than you do from The Cruel Prince. You do get a little bit of hints on what Jude and Carden are doing, because like they'll drop like, how Carden or Jude said no on, freeing this person or helping with it. Anyway, so you just get that. And it was an okay time. It's going to be a duology. There was a twist at the end that I did not see coming. So if you really like the Cruel Prince trilogy and you want to learn more about Oak and learn more about him, then definitely pick this book up. I think you would really enjoy that. I enjoyed it. I am going to continue on, but I feel like there could have been more action rather than 60% of the book being like just walking and talking, honestly. But I think Holly Black did a good job, especially writing characters that were not main characters from the trilogy and continuing on their story and expanding Elfhame as we know it. So those are the 7 books that I read in February. It was a really good month for me. I'm really excited for March. I have a pretty big TBR for March as well, so I'm hoping I can have a good month like I did this month. But definitely let me know below, have you read any of these books? Are you planning on reading any of these books? Let me know what you thought of those in the comments below. But until next time, everyone, I hope you have a great day. Bye!